Ugh, this video cut me while I was busy talking, but thank God it's saved because it's an iPhone. Yeah, it has a way of recovering content, so I'm grateful. If it was my Android device, I would have lost that whole footage, but I was basically just rapping on about how it is that my cousin has abandoned his duties, not my cousin, my uncle, as a king. And so if at all you derelict your duties as a king, you are ultimately going to get a whole bunch of peasants rising up against you. And when they rise up against you and do not regard you as a king anymore, it's only a matter of time before your kingdom gets ripped from underneath your feet. So the baton that was given him by my grandmother is now just like a waste of time, a waste of space, a waste of air, a waste of energy, and a waste of juice. It's like what is going on here? It's a waste of juice, waste of energy, and a waste of air. And with it, he is now trying to see if he can't patchwork what it is under heaven that he destroyed. For the life of me, I can't say this enough. My qualms and my issues are not even so much give me back my life, you destroyed it, fix it, and perfectly perch me where I was supposed to be, because I know that only God can get me there. Only the Lord can utterly restore me to everything I need, lacking in nothing. These people have got no power in them, neither do they have enough connections to get me to where I would have been had I not lost everything. So I'm not expecting miracles out of them. I just want a confession. I want them to admit they did this to me, so I won't be patronized, because absent of a confession is then a whole bunch of disrespect. It's me being treated like something that I am not. I am a respectable woman, and they're treating me like some kind of a vagrant, like a loser. That used to have a great deal of glory. We have a cousin of that nature in the family who went and squandered his future on Buginza, and then it would become drugs, and then it would become the status of just a hobo, a vagrant, I don't know, and then it would become like a deadbeat dad. Like, he went from being essentially Khosi, a king, to a peasant overnight because of his own irresponsibility. And so when everybody looks at him today, they just wag their heads on some, my goodness, how glorious you used to once upon a time be. For my family to try and reduce me to that cousin is like vomit in my mouth that I have to keep on swallowing over and over and over and over again. I also have a dad, a late father, who was like that in his youth. He was a whole solicitor. He was an academic, a lawyer. Do you understand? He had a practice, Soweto. He had a whole future looking forward to. He had a whole future in this country. If at all my dad had done better by himself and by everybody, he would have been likely either a Supreme Court justice or something close to it in this nation. Yeah. And so he would have had friendships with presidents, with the president of this country, because of the fact that when they were on the come up, they were in the same circle, same studies, and same struggle groups. My dad was supposed to be a very prominent man in the country, but then he squandered all of that. He drank it, all of it. His friends that he used to be, roommates with in varsity are running the country. That's my father. Yeah. Some of them are CEOs in other countries. That's what I'm trying to explain to you guys. And then he just squandered it. Yeah, so therefore, by the time that my father passed away, when everybody was looking at him, they were wagging their heads on some, if only you had known what this guy used to be. People are thoroughly trying to reduce me to whatever under heaven my dad was. When I did not drink my life away, when I was not irresponsible, when I was not a deadbeat dad, when I did not deliberately break every partnership that I had with everybody that was of value, people just pulled the rug from under my feet and saw it fit to decimate my future, making sure I go nowhere. Yeah, for the rest of my life. And then expect me to come around on the other side and say, I guess like father, like daughter. Like father, like daughter. Langdella. I am sober, I don't drink. When you look at me, you see pink in my cheeks. I am obviously a good girl, and I'm struggling to get my life back together again. So good am I that you're trying to hook me up. Nkarawena, you are Tinder. That's what's good. And yet you want to reduce me to the status of some loser oweleng. I'm sorry, Hadi. I'm going to expose all the nonsense that you are doing, because there is nobody trying to say sorry. They are just trying to make me basically be the thing that my dad was. Reduce me to some, archetype, some stereotype, some generational curse, and just like that. Just it's so sticky like bubble gum that you can't remove it out of hair. That's what they are trying to make my dad's generational curse look like bubblegum in the hair. Absent of you shaving that whole glory, that whole mane on the top of your head, you are not going to succeed with bubblegum. Do you understand? To ever extract it with any kind of success without losing some hair. And at this stage, I'm like, Yazin, do you as much as you want to make me look like Chepi Simo Miriring. Do as much as you want to. Mara, will speak of my glory on the rooftops, and I will also testify of my strivings, my sorrow, and I will also evidence my fortitude, my long suffering, my status as one who is above reproach, my innocence in the climate of a band of miscreants, and all of these marauders all up in my grill will look just like exactly that by the time I am done with them. If you don't want to admit you hurt me, and so therefore cancel the status of Karabo, you are just like your dad on me. If you don't remove that reviling, that messy paint on my face that does not look anything like who I am, things have come to a point of war. War. And during war, there's no time for decorum, especially when the war criminal in question absolutely refuses to surrender. If you don't want to surrender, I will annihilate. Do you understand? Because this is a matter of life and death. Literally, I could die. I could die. If I end up capitulating to all this nonsense, I will be so melancholic, so macabre. There will be so much depression in my bones that the noose is awaiting me. I will swing left to right like a pendulum on a noose from having committed suicide because I finally embraced a reputation that was not mine. You are not going to ruin my life that horrifically, and you are also not going to put me in the house of some zombie man just so I don't look so badly abused. Now allow me to also explain certain things about my uncle's wife. She was a high school dropout, never intended on ever getting her matric, and so she leans on her husband for everything. He provides every last iota of her needs. My cousin wanted to be just like her mother until she realized it's 2023 and men, the kind of men that she wants, are just not interested in women like those. My uncle was born in a different time. My cousin wanted to be like her mother and couldn't. So that's why she was dragging her feet through the mud, and that's why she was also messing with all of her careers, the jobs, all of the jobs that she had in trying to build a career. She messed them up because she imagined some rich guy is just going to scoop her up, swoop her into the sunset, into the future, and make her very comfortable. She is literally her mother's daughter in the worst way, a carbon copy of her mother. But when things didn't work out, when she went and gave a dude a baby without there being medical aid, without there being what do you call this, money, when there's no job for anybody, when that became her reality, and so she wasn't enjoying the luxuries that her mother enjoyed being the wife of a man that is taking care of her every needs, and she's got a lowly job, and does not matter that she's got that lowly job, that she is working because her husband is the one that's pulling all the strings and paying for all the experiences as a wife. Like, you know, when you become so docile and you become such a servant of a man only because if you got out of there it would be hell on earth in your life. That's my aunt. My aunt was able to basically be a pampered, cushy Stepford wife of a man that was happy to take care of every last one of her needs, with her working some very basic jobs. Do you understand? It's not like she was a stay-at-home wife. She always had a job, but it was always some silly job, because what are you going to get in this country with just a matric? That's without a matric. That's what's good. That's my aunt. And my cousin, albeit having finished matric, had no interest in ever studying further. Not only did she have no interest in studying further, but she kept on messing up in all the jobs that she was working, because she imagined some handsome knight in shining armor is gonna sweep her into the future and take care of her every need just like her mom. And that did not happen, because the knight in shining armor was living also in 2023, where even though he was trying to start a business, he had his own family members coming at him with witchcraft, flying kicks from all over the show, and so he struggled to make ends meet. He struggled to thrive after trying to start a business, and everything of that business fell apart because unaloywa, like no man's business, kibatu from around him. When then things did not work out accordingly, and years were progressing in this little grain that they were all in, my cousin then started to violently covet me and every last one of her friends that was grabbing her future. So I'm not the only one that this chick has come at flying kick. I'm not the only one that she's come at with flying kick. One of her best friends from high school, flying kick 1 minute. One of her best friends from high school, flying kick. Mara, that best friend that thing Lena White deserve, because Lena, she was a witch type establishment thing. But it was basically upon making observations that, whoa, like, what in the world is going on over here? I am literally 10 steps behind my peers in terms of career, while I am with a man that's not quite where he needs to get. It appears whatever it is that my dad was to my mother, I'm not gonna get that in a man. And that's when she was like, okay, since I'm starting a little late in this matter, I am going to grab the futures, the destinies of everyone I can in order to build mine. So she was given a little bit of a catapult to step upward, a little bit of a rocket climb, through the blood, sweat, and tears of other people. She severely thwarted, slowed down the careers of her friends and her family members, some of them, me, my older sister. She worked little magic tricks on anyone she could just to give herself a boost, because she realized that it's 2023 and she can't be like her mom. She realized that it is the modern days, we have progressed, we're out of apartheid, so really people are not set up for failure from the get-go. So really use the opportunities that the new South Africa is giving you. And granted that she was now in that mode, all of a sudden when she was like 10 years behind everybody, that's when she was like, I'm gonna rise, and I'm gonna rise fast above everyone. It was only at that stage that she decided to get serious with her career, but like I said, using the bones of other people as a step ladder. So that's when she basically moved past ending up like her mom. That generational curse of her mother, she realized she can't roll in it, because in 2023, if she insists on rolling around in the grain of her mother with a husband on a lawyer left, right, and center, family yating. Now that you have gotten that understanding, you can therefore gauge what the roots of my cousin's insanity is. While a man takes care of her, that however snapped out of it because she made an observation that it's 2016 or whatever, and upon making, not 16, let's say 12, 10, upon making that observation, that's when she became a menace to society. So when I say that bo satane ba ngwana bo exceed ba batswadi, that's true. The wickedness of a child will exceed that of their parents. It's like sin, just balloons and mushrooms. So her mother was not the best of women, but the daughter is even worse than that. Upon trying, or rather upon capitulating to the grain of her mom, she was met with chock-a-blocks and did not meet a man like her dad. And so therefore, she took matters into her own hands. And now the father is having to correct all that. My cousin was smart, just like her father, but she, drops the ball. She dropped the ball. Do you understand? Koskolong. Ohanobala. She refused to understand anything. Maths, science, history, geography. I remember when I was in high school, the two of us, we could have been at grade 11, and I referred to water as H2O, and she had no idea what the heck that was. I was like, how do you not know that water is H2O, girl? Because that's basic chemistry. It's like the very beginning of chemistry. But then again, she hated school, and she did abysmally in school, not because she was stupid, but because she didn't care, and also because she never intended, even in the slightest, to ever be good at school, because she imagined she didn't have to be. That's what my cousin was. So of course she would then covet and envy as the years progress. The cousin that's always known what she wanted in life. She is going to envy everybody that she is encircled by. When she used to work in retail, she was in corporate South Africa, lost that job because she was always absent, drinking it up a storm. That's what's good, and not being at work on Mondays ka babalas. So she had to start from scratch and work a job in retail, and they made her a manager there, but it was still a downgrade in comparison to where she used to work. And so she was the boss lady over a whole bunch of students from all across Johannesburg. One chick I remember was a Wits student studying BCom accounting, another one was a student at UJ, another one was in Technicon, blah blah. She was encircled by a whole bunch of students that were working a part-time job just to, make ends meet while they were studying. These students became her friends, and she was always partying with them, even though she was older than them, not by much, only by a couple of years, right? And over the years, as these students graduated and they got internships in corporates, they got first jobs that were not what under heaven it is that this cousin of mine was stuck in the grain as, and everybody that she was boss over was now starting to fly above her. It was during this season that my cousin started to go a little crazy. She was like, my subordinates are now making more money than me. I am stranded in a grain because I ruined my life. And so she started to bewitch everyone she could, starting with me. She started to bewitch everyone and everything that she could, commencing with me. So everybody that stood with her, really at what cost? The only people that really and truly were non-threatening to my cousin to a point of bewitching them were the ones that were also stuck in a similar grain just as she was stuck in a grain. But everybody else that was an academic, catapulting, shooting up in the sky to go and get their own, she came at them. She came at them. That's what this little beast is. So Ntate Ona, that is irresponsible with the family, has no idea what he has unleashed in society. He not only unleashed my cousin on me and basically left her to continue doing what she was doing, he unleashed her on South Africa. Udula antaloya batho. That's what's good. In order to get to where she needs to go. Because while sitting in high school, she refused to study, but now she wants to get taken seriously in corporate, even though she's not the best person for the job. So she does not have the foundation and the background that all of us put in our early years, that we might reap the fruit of our labor later on. She did not have to put in the initial time. That's why we gotta be mad at this situation. She didn't have to put in all the time that we put in, the midnight oil that we burned, all the textbooks that we had to crunch before exam time. She didn't have to do all that in order to get to where she got. All she had to do was wave a magic wand, and when that is the person in the room, there was a travesty in the room. When people no longer appreciate hard work, when people no longer reward hard work, when the world is upside down and doing a strange little funny thing, walking backwards like Michael Jackson because they think they're moonwalking, okay, somebody gotta put press some red button and sound an alarm. And that's what I'm trying to do. South Africa has been drained of skills. No, never mind the skills exodus of the diaspora moving to Europe and America. No, I am speaking about people sitting at home that are supposed to be killing it in corporate South Africa, killing it in the business arena in South Africa. Bahlezi endlini because abatagati have taken their futures. I had a colleague at MTN, some Indian girl, that did exactly what my cousin did to me. Absolutely disbanded me, derailed me from my career while being some lackluster. No, she wasn't even mediocre, she was below average. And she pulled the rug from under my feet at Wafa with everybody being frustrated with her. But everybody gave her favor and let me lose everything because they were competing with me. Literally like what happened with Jesus and Barabbas, where they set Barabbas free and the Son of Man had to go and die and everything. I was sent to the gallows, do you understand? While this chick continued to thrive, and even though people knew what she did, they would much rather hang out with Barabbas than acknowledge the glory and the grace and the mercy and the exhaustiveness of Jesus in their midst, rather than deal with a true star among you. And so therefore rightly, place people in your country so that the country can grow. You're gonna go on right ahead and deal with some lackluster person so you don't have to look so lowly in the presence or the climate of someone truly glorious all up in your grill. Well, what is the end result of such a deed as that when placed a multiplier upon in a country? Yeah, well, we're dealing with exactly what happened today. Like power cut the entire day because of cable theft. And it is such a ubiquitous issue that even though we are dealing with a power cut crisis where people are getting multiple power cuts a day, over and above it, sometimes we got to deal with no power for 24 hours, 48 hours, like 3-4 days entirely because people keep on stealing cables. Yeah, when you keep on employing like some random thieves, bandits in your companies, you are going to win for yourself a nation that can never be stable because every time somebody invests something in it, somebody takes something out of it. It is a bucket that is porous, it's got holes in it, iyavuza, and so there is never ever any progress. South Africa is a bandit society. It is a criminal state. I cannot say that enough. This country is a crime state. It is run by mafia. Do you understand? And mafia are also running corporates. They are all over the show. They are stealing everything from the nation. And so sinama bageta vuzayo. Even though we produce some of the baddest, most glorious human beings on the earth, nobody even gets to know that South Africa produces that unless they move to the US, unless they move to Europe, unless they are the diaspora. Nobody ever gets to realize what South Africa can produce. So here it is that I am a canary singing on the rooftops, and nobody sees the glory that South Africa can produce in said canary as this, precisely because I'm still stuck in this crazy country. I am still stuck in this crime state, this bandit-infused wannabe nation, and I am screaming to get out. Ngiyakhala ngifuna ukuhamba, but I can't because kepatilwe ke a bandit. A whole bunch of bandits, and those that are in a position to correct the deeds of the bandits and so therefore grant justice to the impoverished by the bandits, the mistreated, the unjustly coerced by bandits, rather stand with the bandits. Like my uncle standing with his little miscreant of a daughter. Onza uzweza batwamo South Africa, and now she's the only one looking relevant at all when she could not even freaking study basic chemistry to know what water is chemically. NASA is H2O gang, until of course the artist that is the musician Wapuma with a whole thing in the media, and he was like Kamalam go H2O, and then she was like, oh, he's water. But before then, just from basic biology, Cheeky did not know that water is H2O. I'm sorry. Like, that's what South Africa is producing. That's what in our middle-aged years, now that we are like almost 40, that's what it is that's running the country. That's what it is that's also the diaspora, unfortunately. In other words, that's what it is that people who have gotten jobs overseas are. They have shot like Gedi into other countries, substandard South Africans, because the ones that were really great were blocked before they could even leave the country from applying for jobs abroad. I want to leave this country in the worst way, because the thing that my uncle is not just the thing that my uncle is, but it's the thing that South Africa is. I saw it happening to me at MTN, where they literally set free Barabbas, and today she is a very successful woman. I don't know what she is doing, that Indian Barabbas that wreaked havoc in my life, but bottom line is, she does not struggle to eat. She has had her children. She has gone on right ahead to build herself a future, while I have starved, while I have been impoverished. Do you understand? While I have been made to live below the poverty line, and while I have been subjugated to the tyranny of people insisting that, okay, Karabo, so since this is so rough, remember I told you that my aunt Kena that married a man, and so she basically dodged the bullet of not even finishing matric. She dodged the bullet of the kind of lifestyle that if you don't finish school, you will inevitably live. You will be a chick chilling in a shack, or if not a shack, if you're a little bit more blessed, maybe utla rent a room, kokasi. And as a 49-year-old woman, you will literally be coming home to a room where utlapela ko skotlolong, and if you need to pee, you will pee either ko seruweng in the middle of the night, or you will have to, like, ride out the wind and the blizzard outside to pee in an outside toilet that has been catered to on the property. My aunt was going to inevitably be that woman. She would never have been able to rent a house on her own. She would never have been able to pay for any of her way, if at all she had ever divorced my uncle, or never married properly, or never married at all. She was just going to be a woman so she essentially hit a jackpot. And my uncle, being the husband of a woman like that, even though he knows that his daughter was more likely to end up a woman like that more than me, he now is literally trying to achieve that goal in my life. He looks at me and he has the brazen audacity to paint me with the same color as his wife. I was not born from that woman's womb. I was not. Her daughter was. His daughter was. My cousin was the one born with the generational curse of, I get at this girl, so I'm not even gonna matriculate. Sang bora. Yeah. But I'm gonna meet a guy that's going to work really hard and make sure that I never struggle. That I know what it's like to live in a house with a bathroom, with a full bathroom. To have a whole passage that I can walk up and down in a house. A man that's going to provide for every last one of my needs. Make sure that I get nice and fat. Yeah. I am going to marry well because I get at this skolo. My cousin wanted to do that. It did not work out for her. So she stole everybody's future. And now my uncle, you see, this is the travesty. This is the upside down, random, incendiary, filthy attempt at entire thriving economic souls in a country that, however, have been made dormant. You're gonna go and grab people that baba last all of their 20s out of actually getting a prosperous career in their 20s, but that nonetheless were catapulted from their 30s because they stole everybody that worked like a dog from primary school, high school, and then university, and then corporate. Like, these people the midnight oil, and then you just go and you would like scrape them off corporate South Africa, and you replace them with your buttock that's been doing nothing but getting babalast all throughout your 20s, and so by the time you get to the age of 30, you're a baby mama with a lackluster job to a baby daddy who cannot make ends meet. And when that is your desperate situation, you realize, I'm not my mom, am I? You wake up and you see that, oh goodness, no, my boyfriend or my husband, my lover boy is not my dad. He has not prospered to take care of a woman or sarateng school. Yeah, so I'm gonna destroy everybody. My uncle knows that I am not the failure, the kid that does not know what H2O is in grade 11. I'm not that kid. I'm the academic. I'm the one that strove. I'm the one with a successful career in my 20s. I'm the one that never skipped work because of babalas. I'm the one that responsibly took care of my career. Yeah. I'm the one that no one would have even ever known that I have such an irresponsible cousin for a best friend because I never followed in her footsteps. Yeah. But he's now trying to convert me into his, non-matriculant wife that is going to be taken care of for the rest of her life by a man. That's the thing. My uncle, he's used to taking care of a woman that can never take care of herself. Yeah. And he thoroughly thinks that I am just going to embrace being his wife. Yeah. That's the dream that I had, and that's why I am blowing steam. Remember when I started talking Lana earlier, I spoke about that analogy with a little old lady singing a gospel song, the dog spazzing into demonic possession, the gargoyles on his property falling, the gargoyles on his property falling. What is happening over there? The gargoyles on his property falling on the ground. Yeah, what is this? Because of like disturbance, the voice of this woman is what it is that caused these gargoyles to fall, because the satanic protection that he has around his house is easily brought down by Christian praise and worship to the Lord. He then puts it together with sticky tape, and upon putting it together with sticky tape, puts it on a roof, perches it on a roof, puts it perched on a roof. But then this time around, God himself intervenes on some she was able to survive what you did for years. And now that you have tried to put together your daughter with sticky tape, this gargoyle that your daughter is with sticky tape, I'm going to be the one to convert her into dust. I am going to bring a lightning strike from the sky, so that when Karabo is sitting at home unable to fend for herself, essentially defenseless, that's when I will go in, because the battle is the Lord's. Do not look at those that beleaguer you on all sides and fret and front, for those who are with us are more numerous than those who are with them. Karabo might look defenseless and like there's no one standing in her favor, but she's got all of heaven and the God of the universe. So frankly, if God be for Karabo, who can be against her? You and your gargoyles. My uncle has gone right ahead to try and sticky tape patchwork together the deeds of his fallen wife and his fallen daughter, and in so doing, he is going to create dust out of his daughter, especially his daughter. He is going to create dust out of his daughter, and he will try to patch her up. Do you understand? And she is just going to fall apart anyway, because this woman is not only going to get beefed against by me as I'm beefing with her, but many people are going to discover that Obasingedits. And when that happens, as dust. So my uncle made an observation that my cousin was a little devil worshipper against me. But there are people who have made observations that she is that thing against them too. She has afflicted and lain waste many people's lives. And so my uncle is going to face a mob of angry villagers. Do you understand? He is going to face vigilante justice against his entire household. Upon pontificating the agenda of an evil daughter, having known that she's evil, when the whole world turns against his daughter, they will also turn against him. So now it's collateral damage. He would have done better by his daughter to reject her evil and stand his foot down. Literally put his foot down against his wife and say, I am the patriarchy in this family, and I'm not going to allow my irresponsible daughter to go and steal the entire future of an innocent good girl that we know is a good girl. She already displayed to us that she was a good girl. She proved it to us. We respected her and rewarded her with the handshakes upon getting her life back together again from the first time that she fell apart. But here it is that she's fallen a second time and she's trying to get her life back, and we're trying to act like she's irresponsible. It's not right. It's not right. My uncle was supposed to put his foot down where his wife is concerned, but you see, because he never has put his foot down and he allowed himself to be Ahab, now his entire household is gonna get decimated. His entire household is gonna get decimated, and the embarrassment is going to linger on everybody. There will be an unfixable and an unredeemable reputation. This past weekend, right? And I was like, whatever, I'm not going there. Here it is that I get a dream last night of some little funny patchwork that my cousin is trying to do, not my cousin, but my uncle is trying to do to my life. So witchcraft has begotten witchcraft. He has become a witch now because his wife and daughter are witches. Patchwork a situation because he is guilty. He is guilty in a way that his wife is not. He is guilty in a way that his daughter is not. But my uncle has tolerated that woman Jezebel. This is what the scriptures say in Revelation, I believe 3, in the letter to the church at Thyatira. I know your works. You have tolerated that woman. I have this against you. You tolerate that woman Jezebel, and who calls herself a prophetess, right? And she is leading my servants to commit sexual immorality. That's that woman Jezebel. And because of your deadbeat works with that woman Jezebel, I am going to throw Jezebel on a sick bed, and then you into great tribulation. So my cousin is about to face a sick bed While my uncle is going to be thrown into great tribulation because he tolerated that woman Jezebel. He tolerated her in his wife, and he tolerated her in his daughter at the expense of a saint. My uncle's biggest mistake was messing with this Jezebel chick in the climate of a Christian. Now, a Jezebel and who is this? Ahab. Man oh man, how they messed with so many prophets of God. They were the bane of Elijah's existence, and they were also the bane of Micaiah, the prophet Micaiah's existence, who was thrown into prison and fed meager portions of bread and water because he thought he was Hamas. That's what under heaven it is that these wicked men do. And when you endure, daughters of God and sons of God, through rubbish because of having listened to a bad woman, and now you can't listen to sound counsel, you get thrown into great tribulation. You face death. You face destruction. Because my son, oh how you did not love wisdom. Oh how you are going to wish you had adored wisdom and put it around your neck as a necklace, or around your belt as truth. You're going to long to have listened in your youth to counsel. My uncle is going to wish he had listened to his sisters about his wife. He's going to wish that he had listened to his mother. Basically the family of people that did not like his girlfriend. They didn't like his girlfriend, but he ran with her. Wamchata. And today she is destroying his sister's children. Today that Jezebel is destroying Bana, Ba, Osiwachach. Whatever happened to blood is thicker than water. My uncle has allowed his wife to destroy the daughters of his younger sister, of his older sister. And remember, I told you, my mother is the only one out of all of her siblings that has ever produced academic students in school. And my uncle is watching my mother that had the most academic daughters in the family basically bear no fruit. Ingati, she's a barren woman, all because of his Jezebel wife and Jezebel daughter. Thanks to that one woman that he decided to date despite better counsel, they produced offspring that's exactly like mama. And so, duh, uncle, you struggled with your daughter. Remember I said earlier that my uncle, I cannot accuse him of poor parenting because he tried for my cousin. He tried to no avail because my cousin was her mother. My cousin was her mother. He was a wayward boy that was messing with a wayward girl when they were teenagers. And when his daughter became the exact carbon copy of her mom, my uncle was out here trying to discipline his wife, but in a daughter. I don't know why he did not wake up and realize when I got to because I found this woman, this girl, I found her in the wayward stance that my daughter is currently in. And I was in love with her. My cousin was electric with men. Do you understand? Something about her was very mesmerizing. They could not resist. She was extremely luring even though she was a bad woman. I don't know how many guys she essentially broke the hearts of that were willing, despite how badly she broke their hearts, to try again with her. The very man she married, she cheated on him with one of his friends. Left him for that boy. They dated for years. And then when she was done, Abodla, the guy that she was with, she went back to him and he took her back. That was my cousin. So, really and truly, like mother, like daughter, in the worst way. So the derelict ways of my cousin as a teenager and young adult, my uncle ought have been like, my wife, when she was a teenager, because they met when they were just teenagers too. My wife was also like this. My wife was exactly like this. And that's why my sisters didn't like her. And that's why my mom didn't like her. My uncle was rolling around in that he ought have rolled around in that mindset if at all he was going to be sobered. If at all he was going to be sobered. But instead of seeing his wife and his daughter, he was blind. And then years down the line, when his daughter is being typically what his wife was, just as in the same way that he could not leave a bad woman and was beguiled by her, he got beguiled by his own daughter. A man that is namby-pamby with underwear for a hat. Do you understand? Yamusad. Getting pulled by the nose by bad women. And these women are literally taking his feet down to death. It is written of this bad woman that her feet go down to death. Her feet go down to death. And here it is that my aunt's feet are going down to death. Because my aunt produced a daughter that caused my uncle to stay in a grain of going to death. My uncle is literally stranded in a grain of going to death. Because he made offspring with Jezebel. He made offspring with Jezebel. And this Jezebel has gone on right ahead to be Jezebel to another man. And so on and so forth. Mesmerize men until they absolutely refuse to do what is right. That's what's going on. And so now, because my uncle feels guilty just like Ahab, He is trying to, pray nyana, not pray to God, but he's trying to correct the situation. And guess what his wonderful idea is? He has gone on right ahead to essentially try to manipulate events spiritually, where it is that I will be married off. Because if I get married, I will look less embarrassing. When I woke up from that dream, I was so upset because I am sick and tired of being match-made, organized, marriaged by animals on the internet and anywhere else on the periphery of me that I can look at. My uncle was here, and his friend spoke about how I look like a teenager. And so my uncle was like, she's still beautiful. So how about we connect her with a man? Because if she goes inside the household of a man, she's not going to look so bad. So much that she can't even successfully send a CV out on the market. She used to have a whole career. And I accommodated that rubbish. So since it's my fault, I'm going to help her along by making sure that she gets married. I had a dream where my cousin, not my cousin, but my uncle was essentially like the dating application that is Tinder, where it is that I was and these men kept coming in, like one after the other, while I was busy washing dishes or wiping the kitchen counter, basically some domestic chores that I was walking in there, and everything, looking very much like an old school trad wife. And these men just kept on hopping into the kitchen. One guy was so spectacularly rude that he asked me to turn around so he could see my body contours to gauge if at all he'll take me up, since my uncle invited him to the house to look at me to see if he won't marry me. And all these men had one thing in common: they were rich. So my uncle feels as if though he's gonna fix my life if he just marries me off to a rich man. The man that rocked up in the kitchen where I was busy ginzekitlina, when he came in, my heart was made to be tugged away at to think of him as handsome. And he kept on talking to me and told me to turn around to see if my contours are right. And when then I was turning around, he was like, I like what I see. Nkari, he's shopping for clothes, for shoes. Nkari, he's shopping for a human being in a human trafficking auction. And he's like, okay, I'll take it. I like what I see. And then he went on right ahead to go and pour some water for himself. Go kitchening. Since we were in the kitchen, we were in the kitchen. And as he was walking away, I saw him from the back, and he had like a whole large behind and some hips. He was like, he just basically had a physical body shape that I would not appreciate in a man. Given that I take care of my own body, I work out, I would not want to be with a man that does not also take care of his body. It's only fair that I should meet with, a man that's also into his own athletic self-care. It's what I asked for from God. And this man, the Lord was showing me in that dream that basically the kinds of men that my uncle is trying to bring along, he's not like, to him it's like they just Mara, whether or not Karabo is attracted to them is irrelevant. I will make her be attracted to them because I am going to make her fall in love with them, so that whoever it is that she chooses out of them will eradicate the family from this embarrassment. I can't attend mafu, I can't attend mesebetsi, I can't go anywhere. I don't go anywhere. I don't do anything with these people, and it's been years that that's been the case. My uncle is guilty, never thought that would happen. And upon it being guilty, he imagines that the way that he's gonna fix my life is the way that his own wife's life was fixed. That if at all she did not marry a man that was able to hold his own and everybody's own, and so provide for an entire household, she would have been living kohumu for the rest of her life, having to bath in a little tabiki and use an outside toilet to relieve herself. And if she doesn't want to go there, yeah, that's the kind of life that my aunt would have been subjugated to if she did not marry my uncle. In the same way that I am currently, indeed, living in a shack, a room. I have no money, I'm going nowhere. So my uncle literally is one that understands that his daughter's witchcraft is so extreme that I will never work again. Mara, he cannot sit in his own conscience accepting that as a thing. So now he feels like yo, guys, I did not freaking ask for this life. Like, to think that you can just run people's lives, decide just like that. Mina ngiyochadiswa, an arranged marriage. These men kept on walking into the kitchen and I was not attracted to any one of them. Ultimately, my uncle pops up in that same kitchen that we're in, Kontlunyahai. And then this time around, he's standing next to me, trying to help me along in my decision. And the house opens up into basically a window where it is that I get to see all the households in the neighborhood, right? And he's like, the man that stays in that house over there, he likes you, he wants you. The man also that stays in that house over there, he likes you, he wants you. And all of the houses that he was showing me were mansions. These men were wealthy. Do you understand? And my uncle was trying to hook me up with them. So, if at all, my uncle imagines me worthy to be married to a wealthy man, why under heaven is he second guessing or underestimating who I am, that I might be the valuable woman that I am, that will indeed win her? Lobola engwe e hectic. My uncle is aware that I am an excellent woman. So much so that he's trying to hook me up with a rich man, but he doesn't care that I won't like him back. He doesn't care that I'm not going to be in love. He doesn't care that I'm not going to be attracted. He's disinterested in my lack of appreciation for my husband. All he wants is for me to have a better lifestyle. And he realizes that the only way that a beautiful woman that is still, structured, she still looks good. The one guy, like I told you, caused me to spin around so as to investigate the contours of my body, to see my hourglass shape. And then he was like, okay, fine, I'll take it. Yo, guys, as the auctioning. Ingati mina, I am some prostitute on sale at a human trafficking circle. My uncle is aware that I'm still beautiful. He is aware that I'm still valuable. He is also aware that I'm highly likely going to be quickly grabbed by any man that gazes upon me. And so he just figured that I'm gonna nudge her along. I am going to connect my niece together with Muhumi. Since her mother doesn't care about her, I will care on her behalf, and I will give her daughter a wealthy husband. My uncle feels as if though the way that he can recompense me for my loss of income is by putting me in the household of a wealthy man, whether or not I like him, whether or not he's Christian. That's another thing about these men in my dream. My desires. And equally yoked with unbelievers, no, no one cares how I feel. No one cares what I want, what I desire, what I insist upon. They know witchcraft, and so they're gonna basically dictate how my life is going to work out. So you go and you grab a whole genius, you waste her mind, and then you put her in the household of some arrogant, pompous millionaire that is going to parade her in front of his filthy nose and say, okay, get monga cause gerata di hipster high. Mina kwamele ngiyotshadiswa nje indoda enjalo. I gotta marry a man like that and be like my aunt. Just grateful, baba. Nje, uthi at least mina, I've got a full bathroom and I'm not living in a room with I gotta go and take some dude osatsebeng jeso from a bar of soap so uzongi Kenya. Never mind boring, but I will find him to be such a flagrant fool. Oh my goodness. It's gonna be like, yes, like it, guys. Y'all don't understand, njefela, how much guys monifatsing bang Kenyanga ting ba bora ba buanyoko 24 hours a day. They don't know jack. They are always talking, never coming to a knowledge of truth. But they run their mouths and so much rubbish like litter comes out of their mouths. I have no respect for godless men. I literally don't. Bang bora. They are carnal. They love sex. They hate God. Like for me, it is the hatred of God. It is them rolling their eyes whenever you mention the name of Jesus. It is them thinking he's a sky daddy. It is the fact that, like men who marry Christian women when in and of themselves they're not Christian. Whenever the wife starts to talk about Jesus, they're like, oh, she started with her religion. I have no respect for a hell-bound man that thinks I'm a fool for loving Jesus. What am I going to do with him? What am I going to do with him? When he thinks that he's arrived, when he underestimates my virtue, when he thinks that I'm great if only it wasn't for that religion thing. I'm great, man. Religion, man. Just puyo ba bora. They are so boring. Like, there is nothing I can ever say to an ungodly man. Conversation, holo, not ash. Empty. He doesn't understand anything. There is no honor. There is no intelligence that oozes out of men that have no fear of God. They could be smart, but I will still find them so foolish because Yeah, man, guys, I'm too godly. That's what I'm trying to, like, I'm too spirit-filled to be just content in Jefela with some dude that thinks, okay, you can take your religion, you're a little bit extreme with it, okay, Jesus is Lord, fine, whatever. But, like, what's on TV tomorrow, like, at 9 p.m.? Yo, guys, if I can't have an academic discussion, an apologetics discussion with my husband, I'm not marrying that. If I cannot have a conversation that is heavenly with my man, and it be second nature for us to glide in that regard, I'm not doing it. It will be like dating a guy, mara you're with him anyway because everybody in the school thinks he's cute. You're dating him because everybody approves him, but in and of yourself, you're not interested. I could never fall in love with an ungodly man. I just never could. I never could. Because I have no respect for them. I'm sorry. And the scriptures make it clear that we have to submit to our husbands and respect them. That speaks no wisdom from his mouth. Yes, like it, guys. It wouldn't even go to second date. I'm sorry. But my uncle doesn't get that, you see. He doesn't understand. For him, it's basically whatever it is that lured his wife. For my uncle, it is whatever under heaven it is that lured his wife to him. You know, men who have not really studied God will blanket paint women with, insofar as you just give them money, you'll shut them up. This uncle, I guess he's my uncle, but he's not my dad. He has never been around me. He doesn't know me Fandiwan, not the way that I guess my mom would know me, even though she treats me the way that she treats me. My mom knows certain men. There are certain men and I would never go out like that. And so how na forced down my throat or a particular way. My uncle doesn't know that. To him, women just give them money, provide for them. Happy. Teenager, so she still looks beautiful enough. Just give her to some men. Really? Go and make babies and keep quiet with some wealthy men. Yeah. And forget that I'm like a whole academic. Forget that I literally have got strong desires to have a fulfilled purpose in life that I'm walking in. Wanna make my own money. All of my dreams, my ambitions, I gotta just forget about that. So all the things that I worked for to make my own prosperity, to build my own future, I gotta put it aside so some man could go and get his own prosperity and his own future and then share it with me, give it with me, without me having any sense of achievement. Just go be the spoiled wife of some millionaire, but never having made any achievements myself. The achievement only that I would have in my pocket would be Tabaraki Mosadi wa Muhumi, without me being an achiever myself, me having no accomplishments to write home about. When I had a desire to study so far that I would ultimately lecture part-time at a university, and I will just be sitting in a man's house, glad that at least he's buying me Jimmy Choos. He has no understanding. He is a fool like the men that I want nothing to do with. The men that keep on slapping me kakorobela, men who love witchcraft and yet claim they're Christian. Like, I can say mo family nyaka, I can say mo South Africa. I don't know what's going on in this country. I want to leave. If my own uncle cannot understand how much of a travesty and an abomination what he's trying to do is, then kazamina ngizothemba kanjani indo danger coming out of nowhere in my life. If my own uncle can treat me like this, then goodness gracious, all the other men in South Africa are just another Tuesday in this regard. If my own uncle feels this way about me, if he feels as though I just need to be shut up, all these other men in this country, like South African men, are just looking at me like, girl, I'll give you money. Whoa, I gotta leave. No one does anything valuable in this land. There's no godliness. Nobody appreciates God. Nobody has any respect for value, virtue. Good is irrelevant. Money is all that people are running on. You think people are going to gain comfort and peace. Gachele, the money is not a motivator. Go and study theories of motivation. You will understand that. Achievement, accomplishments, that's a motivator. And I was born an achiever. I was born an academic. Kile skolong and everything. Kapara uniform. Walked in the blazing sun. Get back from school. Only for me to just, that was his daughter. His daughter wanted what his dad is trying to organize for me. Her dad is trying to organize for me. His daughter is the one onabatla hulo dula kontunyamuhumi. Anza pempa fela gadi spa treatment, achieving nothing of her own. And everything that she wants to do, husband is busy sending her wads of cash to experiment with every new thing she wants to do. Oh honey, I want to start a YouTube channel. Please buy me a whole studio to record in. Boom. Next thing there's a studio, yeah, YouTube in the house. Oh honey, I want to see if I can model. Boom. I'll call an agent that works with looking in models, and maybe you might find yourself like, I don't know, you know, as an Instagram model. Honey, I want this. Boom. Honey, I want that. Like, connections always being made for the wife to get everything that she wants. Everything that she wants to experiment with. Doesn't have to put in the time. Just has to, you know, make a call to a man. And the man will organize for her to get everything that will enable that thing along. Enable that thing along. I have a thing about acquiring my own achievements. Like, for instance, right now, Beyonce is setting up her daughter Blue Ivy to be a musician just like her. From the very, like, Blue Ivy is already either a millionaire or a billionaire. I don't know what she is. Only because she got that boost from her mom being that thing. In her own capacity, Blue Ivy will never ever get to understand whether or not she would have succeeded apart from her mom. She will always live in the shadow of her mom and her dad if she makes it as a superstar. Beyonce, on the other hand, worked by the sweat of her brow, blood, sweat, and tears to get to where it is that she's at today. I'm not praising Beyonce or what it is that she's doing because she's evil and she's working for the devil. But what she's doing, we can use it as an example because I want to use her child to display what happens when a person works really hard. They get really far. They put in all the time and they succeed. And they then have progenies, offspring, the offspring of which are given an automatic advantage by simply being the children of those people. Very well, a good parent leaves an inheritance for a child. But if that child has no sense of achievement in their own individual state, themselves, they've lost. There's something that they have lost. Do you understand? If that child does not have a milestone that they can earmark or look at and say, this is my doing, I did this, it becomes really hard for them to basically be separated from the cognitive dissonance of having been their mother's making or their father's making. Well, I would have been a Blue Ivy if my dad did not mess up. But I was thrown out there in the wilderness to survive by myself, and with ashy knees I strove, and I finally got to where I got until my knees were nicely moisturized. And then somebody pulled the rug from under my feet, and now they want to go on right ahead and make me like a Blue Ivy, a person that is getting everything that she wants, and she's unaware as to whether or not every achievement she is making is because of strings being pulled on her behalf. Look at how much like a dog right now I am working in order to build my YouTube channel. Even though I am shadow banned, I am coming every single day to upload, to update, to do what I'm doing, so that I can feel a sense of achievement should the Lord give it to me to succeed on YouTube. Should the Lord finally grant me my channel, I will remember the blood, sweat, and tears. I will remember the days I was working from the shack. I will remember the days when I was uploading with failure to get anywhere. Where it is that I would put content online and there would be binary code, ones and zeros. I will on that day have a sense of achievement. But if I get enabled along to grow on YouTube because my husband made a call, to some executive of YouTube, and so now my channel is growing like weeds, I've been allowed to just flourish and be a bird. I will never really know if I'm truly good at what I do, and I will never have any value over my own success, over my own achievements. I want to do this on my own because people put me in a position to do it on my own. I want my own achievements. I don't want my life to suddenly start moving swimmingly because some dude all powerful is pulling strings for me. I don't want that. I want to achieve my own milestones. Do you understand? So if I can convince Mina in my own solitary state, YouTube, to unshadow ban me, that is an achievement. If I can succeed to get to where I need to get despite all of this shadow banning, that's an achievement. That's what I want. I don't want somebody pulling strings for me and so therefore taking credit and saying if it wasn't for me you wouldn't be here, because that's taking the glory of God in enduring through fortitude his own saint. The Lord knows what he's doing with my story. And my uncle wants to rock up and give me a wealthy husband that is going to give me a phone that works properly and is not glitchy and twitchy. He's going to buy me a nice little ring light. He's going to buy me a little studio, buy me all the right sound. He is going to give me maybe even a soundproof room so I can speak on the top of my voice every single day. Buy me one of those ASMR mics that you can speak into and hear every last thing, including a person swallowing juice. Yeah, get me everything I need so as to magnify my odds at doing really well on YouTube. And then over and above getting me everything I need, then go on right ahead to make calls to proliferate my particular channel and give me that cute little tick on YouTube that official channels have got only because I managed to get to 100,000 subscribers in something like 5 days because my husband knew some people who then cut the restrainer cord on me that's making me grow so slowly. That's what's good. If I cannot tell people get off my chest and they will get off my chest in Jeffela just because I convinced them to get off my chest, and I don't want them getting off my chest. because some dude made a call. Because that dude is then on that day gonna grab the glory of the Messiah. Is that basic? He's gonna take for himself the glory of Jesus. I don't want somebody pulling strings for me that is not of God, and so therefore causing me to forget that God ever did this for me. I am currently already struggling very much with faith right now, because I feel like the Lord has just forsaken me. I feel like the Lord has abandoned me to suffer, want, and just die off. If I were to let myself go on right ahead, like some random dude that I'm not even all that in love with, but he's able to pull strings for me, all I'm gonna think is that a mere mortal saved me and not Jesus. I want to wait on Jesus. Do you understand what I'm saying? For the sake of my faith. I want to wait on Jesus for the sake of my faith, because without faith it is impossible to please God. It is also written in God's word that do not grow weary of doing good, for in due season you will reap the peaceful fruit of righteousness if you do not give up, if you don't faint. So if I allow myself to like whoever, that's fainting, and that's awarding the redemptive glory of Jesus ultimately after suffering for a little while to some mere mortal. Otlong borang, otlong gaslightang, otlong denang because he's ungodly, and that I am going to have severe regret for marrying. I don't know why anybody thinks I'm in a rush. I might be 39, unmarried, with no children, and a geriatric womb, but I'm not in a rush because I'm in Christ. That's the thing that people don't understand. And it is the very dream that I got that makes me also realize that there is no need to rush, because my uncle happens to think I'm so fly that he can hook me up with any rich man in these streets. So much so that there were a whole bunch of them queuing in coming to me, causing one of them of which even told me to spin around so he can see my body contours. To a point where my uncle feels like he can marry me off, being the one that would have been the one to negotiate my lobola negotiations. If my uncle can think that I am worthy of Muhumi, then it just confirms to me, even though it just confirms to me more so that I should just wait on the Lord. I should just wait, because my uncle sees something that even Christ has commenced in me. He sees something that men see in me, but no one is worthy of me yet. My husband, who would be the husband tantamount of Rebecca as Isaac, is somewhere out there in the woods, in the wilderness, and he has not yet laid eyes on me. And granted that that's a thing, I'm not gonna let myself get taken in Jeffela by just some dude olang borang, otlong tusang, or YouTube is going persecutor, because you know he's a whole mogul, a very well respected man. And now I gotta like walk around in these streets, priding myself in the fact that kinyetse monna o rich, otlong payang a beautiful wedding gown, and then I'm just gonna be sitting in a house with a fool that does not think much of my religion. That's like it, guys, get right. I'm okay. Get right. The guy all the way heaps in my dream, that was just God showing me like proper people that don't even suit you, that you're not interested in. Your uncle is like, it doesn't matter, just insofar as another chalete and Karabo will be comfortable. You think that's an act of love, uncle? You think it's an act of love, except it is going on right ahead to grab a person that does not have your daughter's personality and then shoving your daughter's personality in her. Kind of woman to just want to get taken up by a man, that's it. And then when it doesn't work out, arai gets a moloi. Hago divorce, guys, because I'm telling you right now, if I were to marry an unbeliever, I would divorce on irreconcilable differences, a reason that's not even allowable according to the scriptures, but I would be so fra that I would be content with celibacy for the rest of my life, just so I don't have to be with that bugaboo. Y'all need to understand, I can't divorce. I don't want to get divorced, and ngizo divorce indoda izongi Kenya with his lack of love for God. Uzongi bora, utlo ngbora. Nkase nna all fluffy. Every so often he pages through the book of Ephesians chapter 1 and reads that passage that talks about how it is that it is the free gift of God, not of anything that we've done, so everybody in Jeffela is born again. Kind of person to read only the kinds of scriptures that say, if anybody calls to the name of the Lord, he will likewise not turn away. Just call on the name of the Lord and you will be saved. And that's all he's running with, even though he's not bearing fruit. Reading a pamphlet of a Bible, a man that's yet to study truly the scriptures and know that you must study to show yourself approved, and know what it is that it means, that to work out your own salvation with fear and trembling. He has never seen my kind of fortitude. If anything, how it is that he got to where he got from as a position of suffering. Also at some point in his life, he was struggling somewhere along the way, and then he decided to go and cut corners with racketeering, unsavory business practices, money laundering. He started to cut corners with funny little weird things he did, and now he is a whole tycoon. He's made a whole bunch of money, and he is trying to look like an honest man. I don't want a dishonest man, because anybody that is unequally yoked with a Christian, I will say this once and I will say it again, and I will continue to say it tomorrow and the next day and the day thereafter. They will be used by the devil against you. Angifuni divorce, a ke batle go tshegwa, and hape a ke batle go borwa ko lenyalong le monna o tlong Kenya, because ha tsebe ho bua ka Jesu. but my uncle is trying to hook me up at all costs. That's his gargoyle. I reject the incendiary activity, but it doesn't matter because they keep on going back to the drawing board. My cousin's going to be humiliated. Not my cousin, that too, but what I want to say is my uncle. He is going to be humiliated for not having stood with me initially, even though he was convicted he should. He wants his bread buttered on both sides. He wants to be able to get away with this murder. It's a travesty. If I get my life back together, again anyway, without any of them, my uncle is just going to look really namby-pamby. He's going to look like this thing that's wet behind its ears. He's going to look like a wuss. He's going to look like Bamitsang Ahab. Just this like fluffy guy that imprisons an unfortunate prophet because he what is this? He prophesied his death. Goes on and makes him eat meager portions of bread and water. Micaiah. The story of Ahab, Jehoshaphat, and Micaiah. Now Ahab died. That's my uncle. Apart from repentance, he's going to perish, having been severely humiliated by the fulfilled prophecy of a prophet that he put in prison to eat meager portions of bread and water. Because it's okay. Boy. Said basic. Because you're in Kenya. I don't want to be married to a boring man, and I also don't want to covet Christian couples that love each other, the two of whom get along like a house on fire because they both know God. I don't want to envy Christians, so please. And I also don't want to be married with an arrogant man who has been made arrogant. The fact that he's got money, that's what's making him crazy. And so he has got the brazen audacity to gaze upon a woman in Gati is shopping for shoes at a store and tell them, let me see you from this corner, let me see you from that corner. Because last time check again, skin, dermatologist, and then we'll come back and go on a date after 5 months after being on a course of Roaccutane. Because me, I like my chicks with clear skin. I do not want to date an arrogant guy. There was a guy that my cousin tried to hook me up with actually when I was a kid. I could have been like 20, 21. Not 2021. I was like in matric, for crying out loud. I can't remember, but I was young. I was really, really young. And this guy was so incredibly rude that I got to a point where I was like, I'm sorry, cousin, I don't know why you like this guy. The only reason my cousin liked him was because he was working and he was making a lot of money. He was in corporate and he was making a lot of money. And for me, it was like, okay, so this guy you want to introduce me to, fine, whatever. We go to a restaurant, and at the restaurant he was so incredibly rude to the waitress. I was so turned off, and my cousin was also awkwardly uncomfortable when he was speaking that badly to the waitress, but tried to act as if though everything was normal by continue to drink, and be merry after the waitress left. And for me it was like, whoa, like he was so rude to the waiter and the waitress. And then one time when we were chatting outside at night, a dark complexion girl, he looked at me at night, and on top of that he was shorter than me, right? The South African men have a thing about height. Anyway, whatever. This guy says to me on some, wow, now that people see you're a little bit darker than I would have liked, but anyway, you're still pretty. I was like, okay, look, I might be in school and everything, but I'm like a whole academic. Let's just put that out there. And I just don't even like the fact that you're rude to waiters and waitresses. My cousin, I was like, you can take him, you like this guy, you think he's great because he's got money. I'm not gonna have some dude shopping for me. Do you understand? That's San Marina. Say Durang. And then be rude to me when I want to raise an issue, or expect me to just kind of shut up and drive, or shut up and be quiet. And then, like I said, he was rude to waitresses. He was rude to a waitress at some restaurant called Eastgate, and I was like, I can't. Yeah, like my uncle has no idea that I am not his daughter. She's the one that will be like, oh, be with a guy because he's got money, and that's it. Out here in these streets, not me. Like, if a man lacks virtue, character, if I can't talk with him, if I can't have a decent conversation with the bugger, I'm not trying to do that. And seeing as I am Christian, that's what's good. Especially guys 24 hours a day. They can do nothing but in their boisterous laughter as men, like literally laugh at nothing but sexual innuendo. They have got no and on top of that, the whole world is anti-Semitic right now. Everybody's pro-Palestine and they don't even know why. They don't fact check. Yeah, unless they are serious about Jesus and study the scriptures. I'm not about to go and be with some dude that's out here trying to explain to me why I need to be pro-Palestinian, why Hamas did what they did, trying to give me history, for crying out loud, that basically will substantiate the cause of the Palestinians, to explain why they had to do what they did in Israel. I don't want anybody trying to convince me of an abomination and a travesty that I know is a travesty. Men who don't share your political, religious, and whatever ideological rhetoric are gonna bore you at some point in a conversation, and you are going to have fights over this matter. I feel strongly about this thing going on in Israel right now, and I am certain that something like 75% of South African black men are pro-Hamas. I am almost certain that 75% of these buggers are, if at all they watch the news, are pro-Hamas with no context, no understanding. Given that I cry and I drop a trickle of a tear down my eye every single day when I listen to what's going on in Israel, and when the stories keep on being recounted and somebody's trying to change my mind to make me understand why under heaven my tears are worthless. I dated one ungodly man that I'm pretty certain today is likely, very highly likely pro-Palestinian, because he is a replacement theologist that believes he's a freaking Hebrew. And after that, I was like, yes, and I am not. No more. And equal yoking, I'm not doing it. These guys that are out there, Jesus, they are talking about the Lord on their lips, but their hearts are far from the Lord. Uzongi Kenya, with a pro-Hamas stance. Kisa, having never seen it coming like a bullet, a bat out of hell. I would never have seen it coming, and the next thing we're chilling at a restaurant and this guy starts to enter into a taboo conversation that's gonna make me want to get the bill. Because even in the slightest that has a small little, even a slight bias towards Palestine, I won't. I'm not taking it. I'm not taking prisoners in that regard. And since, like I said, 75% likely of South African black men are like that, whoever it is that my uncle is trying to hook me up with is likely pro-Hamas. We're not doing it. And I mean that, and so many other things. Godlessness is a snare, and people who are unindwelt by the Holy Spirit would not understand it. The things of God are foolishness to the man who is perishing. So when you think a man is a fool and he also thinks you're a fool, how can you work that out? Carnality and the flesh will initially draw you to a person out of attraction, but eventually World War III if you don't get along, especially on religion. I'm not doing it, but no. According to my uncle, I might one day because I'm poor, and it's his way of patchworking this disaster. Herein lies the deal, witches. Unless you repent and confess what you did, there is no reconciling to people who have been given a spiritual gift. Patronize a labora. Just admit what you did. Continue on not with your nonsense. Down tools. Amogela taba gore o bodile o tlhokofaditse lefatshe lo lotlhe mara jaanong it's time for repentance. If you don't want to repent, nizolanzwa nyogwarwa yazwa nyokhitjwa ngamabhonga namatswape wenu le shapile le bona sheleng mo strateng lo phareidwa la nkutlwa mo strateng ile le nqono go sena ke re le penti le pasty ele ya Janelle Monáe on top of just your nipple ga khoba ke re le pasty o ba sheleng ngono mo strateng being paraded because you literally tried to patchwork nyoko we qadileng le ka senyadise monna la nkutla ga ona ntwe ke itlhoileng ho phala monna o tshereaneng and ga ona ntwe ke itlhoileng. Number 2, ho phala monna o tlong borang cause he underestimates my God. It's that basic. Ke khudile jwanong. I am a mature woman. I no longer am into settling, and the thing en khudisitseng ke tshotlego. You made me suffer, and so because I am suffering now, angsas bayi ever more so iskelem sakon. So pumangi. And as for my uncle, ufana na nonke, he is like South Africans man hlangene nonke kaofela nintibene ngenhloko ezibolile and ngifuna ukuhamba ke batla go le balega la nkutla because you are like ama zombies just charging one woman. And then njengoba ne baninga ngaka mina ngikwazi ukunilwa ake khone go le lwantsha ke tla admit that D-Day I will indeed confess that nka se le lwantshe le lotlhe le tletse le pis le tawe all over my grill nka se le lwantshe le tawe. And nna jwanong jaaka ga ke le mantwa ga kana ga nka zama go le lwantsha go tlhokafala self le nna self go ba zombie because long loma akere so ke batla o tsamaya. I want to leave South Africa, and I have been praying with every bone in my body for the Lord to arrange for that to happen. Ga go nyadiswa boloi ba lona bo tawe butsuletseleng a ke tsebwa le sa lokisi moseking se South Africa ya lona le tlogela go gira patchwork. Stop with your patchwork because that's what you're doing right now. Le busy ntse le batla wa ga South Africa ka sticky tape ntse le utswa di cable le tsaela batho metlakase 24 hours yo yotlhe 48 hours yo yotlhe ga rena motlakase, not because ke load shedding mara because le utswe di copper cables. I get it's a crime state ke mafia state a ke re ena everybody utsubile mata matekwane wonke umuntu has off the line of cocaine and they are dizzy, they are bloodshot mo matlhong ba high le blaze ka nkutla le stone du kaofela mo zolong jaanong tse ka gale tsubile bomb zolo. You wanna rock up la emkaqweni and wreak havoc in the lives of bazalwane. Nna ke lo kalama skepe le ska tlong bor ke kena skepeng na nkutla ke lo palama sefofane ke tsamaya. I am leaving South Africa. Ga bane ga ke tsamaya ka Rapture ko tsamaya ka aeroplane or sekepe. Bottom line is I am crossing the oceans. I am leaving this country. Like it or not, one way or another, I am not going to age in this land. Neither am I going to have children with a citizenship in South Africa, other than the fact that Mewateng is from South Africa. Mara ntatwateng ha tlo ba mo South African ile ka tlhaloganya that much. That is if ke anyalwa. Ha bana ha ke nyalwe ko tsamaya ka Rapture mara go bloma mo Africa suit ke ha le ka lebala. Le tletse ka nyoko ka nonsense le tsubile matekwane la loyana. Ha le ratane, and on top of that ha le rate ke le South Africa ya lona. You don't love your country. You don't, because look at it. Look at it. Re tumpa ke di power cuts ke le ko di sababseng mo go dulang di premier tsa di government nna re tla etsang ka lona 24 hours ka ofela. Why under heaven do we have to get power king ba di bitsang ditho tsa di solar panel? Why tshwantse re lo kry di solar panel rona mo life ngona le a whole power by bitsang a company e tshwantseng re fem tlakas. Keep your South Africa, guys. You and your third world random thing that you're doing, you have regressed yourselves. Like I said, Michael Jackson moonwalking backwards. Libizo na nedlera mo mantong ka mantolo na mo fatse thinking or la jaiva mar libizo la regressa. Let's say South Africa that was an emerging market 30 years ago, and it is still an emerging market still to this day. Kanit ntsale libizo le ela le BRICS yo yotle ntsale libizo le blomle Vladimir Putin, and you are still a third world country while Russia is a world superpower. What are you doing? Nenzani China that you are allied with is also a world superpower. So in lento niyenza hamba ni Russia no Putin even in the middle of this war that he has waged on Ukraine. Nyombuza ukuthi yena does he know what it's like ukuntshontshelwa ama copper cables in his Russia? Uyazi that crime nje fela in his books is something that Russia is currently trying to deal with very hard knock. Hona le motlakasi nare ko China. Hona le motlakasi ko China. Ha ba nona le motlakasi ko China ntse le busy o le LIT yena for 30 years kaofela. South Africa, why? Oh why? Under heaven, are you not doing a better thing? While it's namtlakasi, I'm sorry, I can't deal. Ambani met your gender-based violence. How many cases of rape do you deal with? Le basadi ba lo butcher rwanda fela ba lo hengwa mo sefateng ba le 9 months pregnant, ba le 8 months pregnant mo sefateng ko China. How many such women are you finding? Le kra guy, a whole bunch of flailing like dituzana all over the show ko China. Ba teng ena or ha ba handle wiki Xi Jinping ga lena maitseo ke mo Julius Malema lona o batla go lo ira a communist state out of South Africa, and yet you don't even have the manners that it would require as a society to indeed be under communist rule. Le ka se gone ga lena di manners tsa bana ba ko China. Le ka se gone go lo create an orderly society that is run by a fascist dictator. Le ka se gone mara ke mo Julius na le di ambition, and le monateletse morago nka re ke chicken pox on his body. Le monateletse morago ha le mo rebuke, ha le mo bring it down, ha le mo jwetse taba tsa hae, especially ha le batho ba bantsho ha ntse le bizarre go tlhoele mago ke ntho ke South Africa ya lona eo. It's a circus, ke circus, and le batla go tsaya batho ba ambitious motho ka ofela o badileng o batlang bokamoso ba gagwe bo jotlhe ba gagwe ka ofela bo bonagale because ke ntho e kupileng mo modimo ebe le mo phara ka mono o sa mo batleng mo lenyalong because apparently chelete ke yona fela e tlo sebetsang mo life go lo lukisa botlhoko ba Karabo. The only thing that's going to work on Karabo's pain imali. That's how you think, South Africa. It is no wonder naldi power cut 24 hours a day even when it's not load shedding. It is no wonder basadi ba ntse ba katwa ke bana mo strateng. Gender-based violence is on the increase. It is no wonder abo thabo best abathatha ama doctor enu and they take them across the border to Tanzania to get arrested. That's what under heaven it is that is going on in your country. You can keep it to you. Ithatheni South African yenu inking it's ayeng run with it matham wayizike ngizamanga yoshiyana ke haleka lo hartlo apa mo strateng. Run with your crazy South Africa. Mara as for me and my entire household ke lempa ya ka enang le mae nyama abantle hampe a tlo producing bana ba bang ba tlhalifileng ba phasang ko sekolong ba tsebang modimo ga tlo fertilizwa ke mona mo South Africa ke la ka lebala ke haleka lebala. The only citizenship that my children will ever have that is linked to South Africa is by mere virtue of their mother being from here. Mara nje fela hore bona ba lo tsalwa ke monna wa mo South Africa ke le ka lebala ke feditse ka lona. I'm done. Samang lo tsaya mindset ya malomo aka lo mathaka yona mara nna ko le sia morago ha le ratege ha le rate batho le tswiletse leng la loyana mara you think you are okay, you think this country is sustainable. It is not. By mere virtue even of turning your back on Israel, you have already declared on yourself South Africa hore you are cursed. So namo life ngo tswa mo lona agere go giwa as exile mo some other country go tswa mo lona, and I will never look back. Mark my words. Jaka ga le rata go loya ga kana tsamang lo ya le taba hore ke batla tsamang South Africa and watch me go anyway. Nyonshiya zinjandini nyonshiya nonke ngimshinga ama power cut wenu at 24 hours a day even when you have solar panels. Do what you want to do. Bye. I'm signing out.